On 28th January 2025, hungry Congolese protesters stormed Kenyan Embassy and they set it ablaze. This happened alongside other embassies. But one thing caught our eyes. As they were doing this, they kept singing and chanting, Kenya is a traitor. Why could have this happened? Why were they saying this? Now, to help us unpackage this and to help us know why Kenyan Embassy was actually torched, joining me on the bench is Owoth Kaboko. My name is Kwach, and this is Turning the Mirror podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm super cool.
It's been a while.
Yeah, sure.
You doing well?
I'm doing great.
Now, tell us something.
Yeah.
Do you think the fact that these hungry Congolese protesters torched our embassy is just a common thing that happens when protests are on, or there's something behind it?
Yeah, the attack that happened was not a random destruction. It was a powerful symbol of betrayal that for years Kenya has presented itself to the Democratic Republic of Congo, even to the East African community, as a peacekeeper and a peace broker, leading mediation talks, deploying troops in Eastern DRC and calling for stability within the Democratic Republic of Congo. But to the people of Congo, these gestures are nothing more than smokescreen. The reality is that Kenya has been responsible for prolonging this war, shielding Rwanda's aggression, and profiting from Congo's suffering. The fire at the embassy was not just flames on a building. It was a message directed to Nairobi that we see you through your lies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's true that Kenya has been leading peacekeeping missions, both in Africa. We recently saw Kenya send troops to Haiti.
Yeah.
And now when it comes to Congo, this mission in Congo, what could have been the mistake, or what just happened so that maybe we are not now seen as peacekeepers, but we are seen as traitors? What is happening?
Yeah, Kenya's so-called peacekeeping mission in the Eastern Congo under the East African Community Regional Force, EACRF, was a failure by design. Like it was something set, like a script being run. Kenya's troops arrived in November 2022 with a mandate to neutralize the armed groups, particularly the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels, who seized the key territories in North Kivu, including Bunagana and Kibumba. But what did the Kenyan forces actually do? Nothing, completely. Instead of engaging M23, they facilitated dialogue, allowing the rebels to entrench themselves deeper into Congolese territory. In December 2023, as Kenyan forces withdrew, they left behind a power vacuum that M23 immediately exploited, launching fresh offensives in Masisi and even in Rushuru. And even President Felix Tshisekedi openly accused Kenya of colluding with Rwanda to uphold M23's occupation rather than confronting them. Kenya did not bring peace to Congo, and it just enabled the hostile forces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, when something happens, like when there's war, when there are protests, like in Kenya, we recently saw the Gen Z protest, for example. Yeah. We had the government actually, they were actually trying to say that the protests were in kind of financed by some forces.
Yeah.
Is it the same thing that maybe we might see in Congo, or what is your perception?
Yeah. Yes, war is fought by guns. Yeah. Guns and other machineries that enable war to happen in the current world. Olden days we used to use machetes and spears and all that. It is done by guns. But it's not just about guns. It is also funded by money, a lot of money, in fact. And Kenya is deeply embedded in the economic machinery that fuels Congo's destruction, because it actually has an interest in it. And that is what we are trying to look into. Yeah. And the United Nations group of experts have repeatedly documented how gold smuggled from conflict zones in Ituri, South Kivu, and North Kivu is funneled through Nairobi and the port of Mombasa. Kenyan businessmen serve as the intermediaries, maybe laundering Congo's gold before it reaches to markets in Dubai and even in Europe. And in 2021 alone, $1.9 billion worth of illicit Congolese gold was trafficked through East African routes, with Kenya playing a central role in it. The profit from this trade do not just enrich corrupt networks, they find the very militias that terrorize Congolese villages. And while Congo burns, Kenya expands its regional economic dominance through projects like the Lapset Corridor, which seeks to cement Kenya's control over the East and Central African trade. It destabilizes DRC, ensuring that Kenya retains the upper hand in regional commerce at Congo's expense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe what we can talk about the alliance between now, because if we are being accused that maybe the Kenyan troops or the Kenya as a country or a state which is out there trying to maybe the image that they're trying to bring peace to the country called the DRC, and we are now being accused of kind of joining hands with Rwanda to kind of suppress or do something when it comes to this and take part in this war. What maybe is going on? What is our alliance like with Rwanda?
Kenya, Rwanda itself is the country that is known to be the back of the M23 rebels. And the relationship between Kenya and Rwanda, it is something that's not righteous at all. It is unholy. Like it is in the heart of this crisis. Like Kenya is in a way colliding or collaborating with Rwanda to ensure this thing is going. And Kenya has long positioned itself as Rwanda's strategic partner, not just in just a single thing in trade deals and even political and regional issues, and even in tech industries. Like they really collide and collaborate in a lot of things. This tells a lot. But Rwanda is a prime aggressor in the Eastern Congo, using M23 as its proxy to plunder Congolese resources. Kigali's direct support for M23, documented by United Nations, the United States, and even the European Union, it is not something that is a secret. Like everybody knows it and everybody's speaking about it. Yet Kenya refuses to condemn Rwanda's involvement, let alone take meaningful action against its destabilizing influence. In fact, Kenya's President William Ruto has strengthened ties with Rwanda's Paul Kagame. Even as Rwandan-backed rebels commit war crimes in Congo, the silence within Nairobi and even the position that the neutral position that Kenya is playing, it is something that is complex and it's speaking a lot. Silence, it is always so loud, even than making even a statement.
Okay. Yeah. So before anything happens, for example, I also want to use what we know as Kenyans, because when the Gen Z protests was happening, many people actually we had locations where we were going to protest the following day, where we were going to occupy. And the day we said we were going to occupy Parliament, then the Gen Zs occupied Parliament. So in this case, there were signs. So the government could tell the next move is this, the country could tell the next move is this, it is from town to this point to this point. Before our embassy was touched in DRC, was there any sign? Like, were there any first signs maybe before this, or it just happened like that?
Okay, the attack for the Kenyan Embassy was not a first warning sign. In 2023, Congolese citizens in Goma and Kinshasa held multiple protests against Kenya's perceived betrayal, demanding the withdrawal of the East African, maybe the forces of East African EACRF troops, and denouncing Nairobi's double game. Like they see Nairobi is not playing one single side. It is playing both sides. It's trying to neutralize the case that the war is still prolonging. But the embassy burning was a turning point. It demonstrated the boiling frustration of a nation that feels abandoned and exploited. Congo's people are not fooled by diplomatic showmanship. They see Kenyan businesses, they thrive on their stolen wealth. Kenyan banks facilitating this illicit trade, and Kenyan leaders shaking hands with those orchestrating their suffering.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe there are these accusations, they are on you here, United Nations, of course the Congolese citizens who then have the power with them because this is their country and they are aware of what is happening. Do you think the Kenyan authorities would accept this, and what then would they do?
they have always dismissed, and they're still dismissing these accusations. They will claim that Kenya is a neutral actor, that its military did its best, and that its business operate lawfully. But the evidence is overwhelming. If Kenya truly wants peace, it would have confronted M23 directly, not accommodating them in any way necessary, in any way available, and according to what they've been doing. If Kenya was a honest broker, it would have taken a stand against Rwanda, not strengthen economic ties. Maybe it would have cut some economic ties with Rwanda, given some warnings and showed actions that are really practical. And if Kenya really had nothing to hide, its financial system would be a key route to Congo's war economy. The truth is, Kenya wants to have it both ways, profiting from Congo's war while pretending to be the savior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, maybe what is the reaction of the Congolese president, the DRC president, and is there anything that maybe the world and even Kenya as a country can learn from maybe his behavior and his reactions towards this?
Yeah, just days ago when President Ruto called an emergency meeting within the East African community countries that they should sort out this issue, we saw President Felix Tshisekedi boycotted that emergency virtual meeting. Maybe he had some issue or some reasons, but he was accusing the president of Kenya, William Ruto, that he could be in a way biased. And Tshisekedi claimed that the meeting was designed to protect Kenyan interest, particularly the role in the East African Community Regional Force, which many Congolese view as ineffective. His refusal to participate, highlighting deep mistrust within Kenya and Congo, exposing Kenya's double standard in the region. And we even saw that instead of Kenya, maybe not, if not just the East African community being engaged, even in Africa, there are so many countries in Africa that even the African Union, they can come together and see what must be done. We saw President Ruto getting out of Kenya, and he's going to the president of France, maybe trying to seek solutions. And we believe that as Africans, and with the Pan-African spirit, we believe that African problems must be given African solutions. And these people that are being brought from outside, they're just here with interest. So Kenya is also still protecting its interest by also extending it to people who we know also have interest in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah.
So maybe my final question as we finish this, because maybe I know we'll keep this discussion going on, but my final question would be that we saw Ruto the other day, President Ruto of Kenya the other day, speak of how effective the peacekeeping missions have been, how we are doing it in the region, that is Africa, and now how we are going even to the global stage. And in most cases, these peacekeeping missions, even if you look at Somalia, some of it, at the end of the day, there are always something behind it, according to the citizens of those countries and even sometimes the United Nations, among other organizations. What do you think, what role can the world play, or what approach can the world and Africa as a continent give to this Kenya's peacekeeping mission, so that we either have something that is upright, that would not taint the image of the Kenyan government, Kenyan people, Kenyan forces, and at the same time have the whole region and the world at large at peace?
Do you remember this common term or phrase used during the human rights protest, or maybe the human rights organization movement in the United States in the 60s? That we used to have the term Uncle Tom. And Kenya and the president, William Ruto, is playing the role of Uncle Tom, somebody who is just playing that I'm here to save the situation, but also that other side working with the oppressor. And to the Pan-African spirit, it is something that is so evil and must be rebuked. And to the world, we must stop applauding the Kenya's peacekeeping theater. And it is time to demand accountability for Kenya's economic and military role in prolonging the Congo misery. The embassy burning was not just something an isolated incident. It was a warning that fire will keep spreading until justice will be served to the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay. Interesting conversation over there. We've heard it from our very own Ogoth Kaboko, trying to take us through what is going on, the Kenya stand in it, the Congolese citizens, what they're feeling, the United Nations, what they have to say, and actually what is going on in a nutshell. What are your thoughts?